Welcome to another episode of NeoWolf News. I'm your host, NeoWolf. This is part 2 of a 3-part video series where we're taking a deeper look into the OBS Studio software. If you missed video 1, you'll want to go back and watch that first. In this video, we're going to go a little bit more behind the scenes into some of the settings and properties and filters in the OBS Studio software. So let's get right into this. So to get started, we're going to look under the sources area. And I want to look at the properties of the camera to get started. So you can either click on properties here, or you can click on the gear at the bottom. And that's going to open up your properties window where you can select your device. It's got input, it's got some video format types, resolution, frame rate, color range, brightness, contrast, saturation, gain, power line frequency, white balance, temperature, sharpness, backlight compensation, exposure, auto. So a lot of different settings here that you can play with to try to get the best output from your camera. So I'll cancel out of that. And I can go to the logo, and you can also look at the properties of the logo. So you can see here that you can browse and get to your file system and select a different image if you wanted to. The next area I want to look at is filters, and especially for the camera. So I'm going to click on my Logitech camera and click on filters. And this brings open a window where you can see that I have one filter or effect put in, and it's the chroma key. So if I click on chroma key, this is the green screen effect. So you see that the key color type is set to green. And you can do custom colors and pick whatever color matches your background. And then you have a bar here for similarity, so you can slide the bar to see if it helps with your, like even right there, I can slide this up to maybe 420 or so, 419. And that'll get rid of some of the graininess there in the corner. And you've got smoothness, key color spill reduction. So there's some options here that you can play with to try to get the best output for your camera. So in the upper right area, we see audio video filters. And if we click the plus button, we can see some of the various filters that we can add, including compressor, expander, gain, limiter, noise gate, noise suppression. So these are some audio filters that can be put on that we looked at in the previous video. But then down below that, there's also a plus button under the effects filter. So if you click that, you've got apply LUT, the chroma key that I just went through, color correction. So if you want to try that to help with your color key, crop pad, image mask blend, luma key, render delay, scaling aspect ratio, scroll, sharpen. So there's a lot of different filters here that you can play with to see what kind of effect you like with your video. And so the last area that I want to look at in this video is under settings, way over here on the right. If you click on settings, you see that the settings are divided into various categories, including general, stream, output, audio, video, hotkeys, and advanced. And I'm not going to go through all these settings. You can look at the settings when you get OBS Studio installed on your computer and see if any of these settings will help you with what you're trying to do. But what I'm going to focus on here is to look at stream a little bit. We're going to go through this more in detail in the next video. But this is how you set up your streaming. And then under output, the thing here that I find useful is the recording path. So OBS automatically records to your computer and saves without you having to even save your recordings. So you can select here where you want your recordings to save to. Now we can click on audio and just look that there's some audio settings here. And there's even some hotkeys. And if we go down to the hotkey, you see that you can set your hotkeys for various functions within the OBS Studio software. So these can be quick ways for you to activate the various functions within the OBS Studio software. So I'm going to close out of this and I'll transition back because that's all that we wanted to cover in this episode, just a little bit more behind the scenes of how to get to some of the settings and properties within the OBS Studio software. So again, if you like content like this, follow us on social media at NeoWolf News. And I'm on Brighteon, BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube, as well as Gab, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as Parler, now that Parler's back. So thanks again for tuning in to this episode,